Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, taking a look at where we stand this year so far in terms of the count of tornado reports, we are right smack dab on average. It's been a very, very active year for tornadoes, and actually above average when it comes to severe wind reports. We've already had over 2,700 reports of severe weather, and we still have a big section of the season to go, so we are just at the very beginning of this. But look at hail. Turns out so far this year we've been in deficit on hail reports. Well, I say that until you look at the last week or so. Of the last week, so we're just going back here to April 30th, we have had 1,012 total reports of severe weather. So that includes winds over 58 miles an hour from a storm. That includes any tornado report, and that includes any hail report bigger than 1 inch. So this is only 1 inch and bigger. And of those 1,012 reports, 467 of them have been hail. And they've been coming from storms like these. These are the ones we saw yesterday. Now watch this animation. See all the little cumulus clouds, these little roll clouds? These indicate all the moisture transport out of the Gulf of Mexico that's coming up through parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and into Kansas. And as I click play, let me get those drawings up there so I don't ruin this view for you. Look at the storms that explode on the boundaries that are kind of tucked across parts of Kansas. I'm kind of walking back here. Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and there they are. And each one of these storms, you can see the little, you see these little shadows on top here, these right here. Those are all what we call overshooting tops. Now, overshooting tops are the very, very top of the updraft of the storm that has so much energy and so much momentum, it briefly breaks into the very stable stratosphere where most of our weather can't even get into because it's so stable there. So these storms, because they're so tall, they end up tapping into some extremely cold air aloft, and they produce a lot of hail. Now, I'm taking you to Kansas here, which is kind of the northern edge of our southern region, but I want you to see the line of storms right here as they moved across the center part of the state. So we're looking at the Wichita, Kansas radar. Now, a lot of the stuff you see down here, this is all ground clutter. So this is from a lot of different sources, but many of which are bugs, birds, all sorts of stuff like this. But look at the storms. Do you see the pinks that keep showing up, the pinks and purples? That's your clue. Whenever you're watching the radar, you watch for those colors because that indicates hail. I always get asked, what radar app do I love on my phone? RadarScope. RadarScope. All one word, RadarScope. It's the best investment on a weather app you'll make for radar, but it gives you incredibly highly detailed images like this. Okay, what are we watching today? This is what's most important. Storm Prediction Center, this is in the day on Tuesday, has already issued a moderate risk. Now that's kind of rare, a moderate risk for storms right there in the Oklahoma and Texas panhandle. And you can see they've broken it down into their threat of tornadoes. They have a 10% probability of having these storms rotate and produce tornadoes. This is the severe wind probability here, so up to a 45% chance. That's a huge chance of having severe winds. You'll see the squall line in a few minutes, but I told you about all this stuff with hail because I want you to see the hail probability. Not only is there a 45% probability of these storms producing hail, that's within 25 miles of any given point in that region, but you see the hatching in there? That says that there's at least a 10% chance that that hail will be bigger than 2 inches in diameter, and that's pretty serious. Now, why that is, well, let me show you what I've got here. This is a forecast sounding from our high-resolution NAM model just before these storms really get going. And there's a few important points. When you look at this, what most atmospheric scientists quickly try to glance at and try to find is the area between these two lines, that dashed line and the first solid line here. This is the temperature of the environment, and this is the temperature of what we call a parcel of air. Now, don't worry too much about that, but worry about the area over which I just colored. The bigger that area, the more cape, the more powerful the updraft. The more powerful the updraft, the bigger the hailstone it can support. And look at this, the tops of these storms are going to be way up here. I'm talking several thousand feet above the surface of the earth, 40 to 50,000 feet, and as a result, they're going to tap into some pretty cold air. There's another neat feature, I'm just going to point this out real quick. We call this a cap, and what that little thing down there does, that's a stable layer in the atmosphere near the ground. And that prevents these storms from popping too early in the day. So in terms of a textbook case for getting some big hailstorms right there in the Panhandle of Texas, this sounding kind of says it all. And we're not done. This is on Wednesday. Storm Prediction Center is going to move that severe threat, as you can see here, to the east. We're watching a big low pressure system go racing toward the Great Lakes. There's going to be a warm front that stretches here, a dry line that's going to press on across the, through Texas, Oklahoma. And as a consequence, we're just going to light up this whole area in through here with more showers and thunderstorms. And then by the time we get into the day on Thursday, you can see that threat's moved over to the lower Mississippi River Valley. It's going to continue to press toward the south and east, where out there on the southeast coast of the U.S., you're finally going to get some of this action at the very end of this week. So putting it all together, just getting you through midday Thursday, total accumulated precipitation. You can see very heavy rainfall in through here, very heavy rainfall in through here. But remember, most of these storms begin back here on this side. So this is going to be an event where if you're underneath one of these thunderstorms, you're going to have the potential to pick up several inches of rain, 2, 3, in some locations over 4 inches of rain. We're going to have to watch for some of these thunderstorms to train as well, which means they follow one another. Outside of that, you may get entirely missed by these storms. So it's going to be a very important week to be watching in terms of total accumulated precipitation. But let me just stretch this all the way out to the 15th. So here's your 10-day national blended model. What we're going to discuss in a few minutes is a flow pattern change in the atmosphere, such that the troughs that have been over here lighting up severe weather in this area, well, they're finally going to elongate like this. And that's going to drag the main frontal boundaries right in through this area. And that is why we see that as we stretch this out to day 10, which is May 15th, we have the risk here of getting some more flooding rain into this area. And this is a place that does not need this. Let's talk temperatures real quick before we work through some of the details. This is your next 5 days. We can see that flow pattern does this, right? So it's as I've been talking, I feel like a broken record here. It's as I've been talking about for a while. Big ridge protects the southeast. The main action's right here in between the trough and ridge. But look at this. Days 6 through 10, that flow pattern changes. It actually does something like this. And the broad trough elongates here, so we finally get some cooler air, just slightly cooler than average. This isn't cold, but slightly cooler than average air occupying much of the southern region, with only Florida and coastal Georgia and the Carolinas sticking on the warmer side of things. But look at this. By day 11 through 15, that pattern has changed, and we've really brought the focal point for any sort of adverse weather through the southern region on the tail end of this trough that kind of sneaks in through this area, and that's why you see that colder temperatures there. So that's why I want to show you this. This is just looking at days 4 in the forecast, days 4 through 10. So that week there, that's after Friday. And what do we see? You can almost line up the position of the heavy rain with the position of the trough. And so that is this big thing I'm watching here moving forward. So to kind of show you this now in detail, look at the flow pattern. Got this high over low flow pattern that's got this nice little trough right in through here. And this is allowing Gulf moisture to get all the way back into western Texas right there. So our dry line is tucked right up into western Texas. And it'll be right along this boundary that things get going. Meanwhile, the southeast under this ridge, we got another very warm couple of days coming in. And this pattern's finally going to dislodge and move east with time. Let me show you what I mean. Here's the bowling ball I'm worried about. See it right down there? That is our trough. And you can see that it swings through right there through the four corner states into Texas. But that ridge over the southeast keep things warm through Thursday and Friday. Now, where the pattern changes, look over the Hudson Bay. See this? This is this weekend. After I get you past this weekend, watch that. See that? Early next week, the main trough is here. And as a consequence, that's when the pattern cools down a bit, but shifts our rain focus much more closer to the coast. But look, by the time I get back to the 17th, 18th, 19th, I got a lot of storm chaser friends that are pretty excited about the 3rd and 4th weeks of the month of May, because the pattern appears to go right back into that. And we can see that our jet stream is not slowing down. It is going to be screaming across the Pacific Ocean. So this just tells you that what you've been seeing so far in May, just get ready to hit repeat. It's going to keep going as far out as I can tell right now. Now let's walk through the details of some of the severe weather. We know that early in the morning on Tuesday, we were watching a complex of thunderstorms that had moved overnight through Kansas. They're now into Missouri, and they're going to be pressing on off to the east. But I want you to watch later in the day for the storms to blow up right there inside that second circle I drew. So as I click play, you're going to see now this is by middle of the day. This is around noon. This is around early afternoon. See the storms exploding there on the dry line? Right there they go. So this is the main action area for much of today. So we're getting, again, through Texas, into Oklahoma, and then right into this part of Kansas. Now let me get rid of these drawings and then show you the emergence of the large low pressure system that'll be coming out. By the way, meanwhile, southeast, I know you're under the influence of higher atmospheric pressure, but the atmosphere can still pop with storms, so you're still going to see that. But watch this. As I play forward, the deeper trough swings through the Intermountain West. That's why we have all the scattered showers and thunderstorms here in the Intermountain West. And then it fully emerges right here early Wednesday morning. And that large low pressure system is what is really going to wreak havoc across much of the country as we progress through the day on Wednesday. You can also see the threat for severe weather moves over toward the Arkansas, Missouri, over toward the lower Mississippi River Valley throughout Wednesday. And then again, Thursday, it keeps moving east. So that's our big system we're going to be watching this week. Let's see it on the ECMWF here. Let's play a little bit farther. Here's Wednesday midday. See, look at the storms progressing through the lower Mississippi River Valley on Wednesday and then into Thursday. There's it. It's Thursday's the bigger day there. And then look, by Friday, high pressure moves into the Central Plains, and that forces the front all the way down to the southeast. Saturday, resurgence of Gulf moisture, more storms coming into eastern Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and that continues to press forward. If you just notice, you kind of see a lot of the storms are kind of lined up on this boundary here. That's that front that I told you. That'll be on the tail edge of that trough. We can see as we just keep playing forward that maybe it's late into next week where things calm down, but you got multiple rounds of heavy rain before that. So putting this all together, take a look. European model, 15-day outlook for precipitation on the left. What do we see? We can really see the heavy precipitation in here. And then as the storm systems go back into the configuration into kind of the end of next week, we're going to be going back into the Central Plains with more severe weather. Pretty good agreement with the GFS, which is over here on the right, in terms of the location of that heavier rainfall over the next 15 days. Now, I just want to show you something. Brand new long-range model updates came out late last night. So this is the week leading up to the 23rd of May. So we'd call this week 3. There's that next trough, and you can see the ridge. And this is why we see the longer-range models for the week, again, leading up to the 23rd, wanting to go right back to that very active pattern in the central United States. Okay, so I guess the thing to tell you is keep watching every single day this week with all the updates that we put out, because it's going to continue to be very active across the southern region as we press through the month of May. I expect to see a whole lot more severe weather reports by the time this month is done. With that, we're going to wrap this one up. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to our next Southern Region forecast, which will come out on Friday. But in the meantime, we've got a lot more content that'll be at my.nutrienagsolutions.com. Have a great week. Keep a close eye on the radar, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you.